How do you identify poker thin value betting opportunities? Have you ever found yourself wondering how to spot those moments in poker where you can squeeze out a little extra value? Thin value betting is a strategy that can help you maximize your winnings with marginally strong hands. Let's break down how to identify these opportunities effectively. Thin value betting occurs when you have a hand that is likely to win slightly more than 50% of the time if called. To find these spots, you need to evaluate your hand in relation to your opponent's likely calling range. Start by assessing your own perceived range. If your hand is weighted heavily towards bluffs, your opponent may call with weaker hands than usual. This is a golden opportunity for thin value betting. Next, consider the board texture. Are there any scare cards present? Scare cards are those that might make your opponent think you could be bluffing. When these cards are on the board, your opponent may call with marginal hands more often, allowing you to bet thin value hands for a small profit. Now let's talk about how to execute a thin value bet. First, you must assess your own range and how your opponent perceives it. If they think you bluff often, they might call with weaker hands. Second, estimate your opponent's calling range. Does it include enough worse hands to justify your bet? When it comes to sizing your bet, aim for a size that is enticing enough for your opponent to call with weaker holdings. However, make sure it is large enough to extract value from those hands. Discipline is key. Avoid thin value betting if your opponent's calling range is too tight. You do not want to risk losing more than you gain. For example, imagine you hold Queen-Jack on a board showing Queen, 9, 5, 8, and 2, and your opponent checks on the river. If your previous betting patterns suggest a high bluff frequency, a modest bet could be called by worse hands like Queen 10 or 9 8. This creates a thin value betting opportunity. In summary, identifying thin value betting opportunities comes down to reading your opponent's range and understanding the board. Look for situations where your opponent is likely to call with weaker hands due to your perceived bluffing tendencies. By practicing these strategies, you can maximize your small edges over time.